I would just like to start by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we're all meeting today. And I know we've got people from the goldfields out to the Great Southern and Southwest. But as the presenters, Georgie and I are on Whadjuk Noongar country, so I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners, the Whadjuk Noongar people, and pay my respects to them and acknowledge the wonderful land that we're on today. And in Whadjuk Noongar country, it is the season of Birak, and we've just moved into Birak. And Birak, as you can see by the picture signified by the red, Birak is the season where the hot weather takes hold. We're certainly seeing that, and also we start across Perth while the hot weather takes hold, but the sea breeze certainly picks up and comes in to cool things off in the afternoon. So thank you, Georgie. Okay, so moving into our employee engagement survey. So just some logistics up front. So our survey was opened in late October through to mid-November for a couple of weeks. We had a fantastic response rate, everybody. I was so pleased that everybody jumped in and did the survey. A response rate of 80% is fantastic across our organisation. And I know you received lots of reminders from us, and I just wanted to say thank you to everybody that took the time to complete it. The feedback that we receive from these surveys is so rich, and we're so incredibly grateful. And as I said, a survey response rate of 80% is terrific. Our survey included, just to refresh your memory, some logistical questions up front about demographics so that we can understand our workforce. 33 different questions measuring engagements, and those 33 questions required people to respond on a scale, which I'll talk through in a moment. And then we had a couple of free text questions. So in today's session, we'll give you an overview of all of those responses. What we're also going to see today is the Wanslea responses, but we're also going to see how the Wanslea responses are benchmarked with other not-for-profit organisations across Australia, so that we can see how our engagement, how we compare to other like-minded and similar not-for-profit organisations. Thanks, Georgie. So in terms of what we're actually looking at, so in terms of our what we are looking to measure in this survey is the engagement of our people across three areas of the employee engagement framework, which is about emotional engagement, which is predominantly around job satisfaction, being proud and committed to working in the organisation. Cognitive engagement, which is about frame of mind, and then also behavioural engagement. And that's about how each of us sort of perform at work and the effort that we provide in supporting the people that we serve. So that's really what we're looking at when we're talking about the engagement of our workforce. Thanks, Georgie. What you will see when we go through the results, thanks, Georgie, is our results across the survey are presented in two ways. One is the actual responses, and the second area is the relative responses. And I'll start with the relative responses. The relative responses are about how we have our level of engagement as an organisation relative and in comparison to other not-for-profits. So you might remember I just spoke about how InSync, our provider, they deliver a similar survey across other not-for-profits, and they really benchmark our responses, and we can determine whether our level of engagement is in the bottom, decile, or is around about in the middle or in the top decile of in comparison to other organisations. But in terms of our actual responses, you might remember that when you completed the survey, for each of the 33 engagement questions, you were required to identify or to prepare your response about whether you strongly disagree, whether right through from the scale from whether you strongly disagree, neither agree or disagree, slightly agree, right through to up the other end. And those are on a scale of 1 to 7 in terms of your level of agreement with the statements provided. So what you'll see when we go through the responses is the actual responses across Wanslea and also the relative responses in comparison to other organisations. Thank you, Georgie. So that's just some context to refresh your memories about what the survey looked like and what we were looking for. But I'll hand over to Georgie now, who's going to take us through the results. Thanks, Georgie.
Thanks, Jo. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. It's great to see so many on the call today, especially given that we are sitting at the 16th of December. And I'm so happy to be sharing these results with you today. We will just be looking at the high-level overall results for Wanslea. We won't be doing any or sharing any specific results from certain areas across the business. That will happen over the next few weeks when I have some one-on-ones with all of the managers doing a deep dive into those individual results, and then you'll have an opportunity to have a look at those with your managers as well. So our key results. This is so pleasing to see that our engagement has had significant improvement since last year for us. So last year, our Wanslea overall score, sorry, my screen has gone really blurry, was sitting at 69%. And that was bang smack right in the middle of the average. So our average was sitting at 69%. This year, we have moved 4% in the right direction, and we're now sitting at 73%. And you can see we are now just sitting underneath what would be considered the top decile there in that green section. Still yielding some amazing results. It's great to see that I would recommend Wanslea to others as a good place to work as a plus 12%. So that's gone up 12%, and we're now sitting in the top decile for that one. And also overall, I am satisfied with my job. We have increased by 3% and sitting in the top decile there as well. So some really super pleasing results there. I'm just going to bring these slides up on another screen. Can everyone see those slides okay? Are they blurry from your end, or they're all clear from your end?
All clear at this end, Georgie.
Thanks, Jo. All righty. Okay. So moving on, thank you, Julie. Moving on to our next slide. So for those of you that were here last year, you'll recall that one of the questions we asked is Wanslea cares about me. And last year we didn't receive an overall result that we felt proud of. And last year that yielded a result of 45%. We were so pleased to see this year that we have increased by 14%, and we are now sitting at 59% and within the top decile there for Wanslea cares about me. It really highlights to me the amount of work that we have done collectively across the business this year in bringing all of our people on a journey for Wanslea, and really bringing everyone on that care journey in relation to our values, which we'll see in a couple of slides as well, how we're sitting there. This year we asked a new question, which was, has your manager encouraged you to participate in activities to support Wanslea's Reconciliation Action Plan? So pleased to see that we have 77% of our people agreeing that they have participated in our Wanslea Reconciliation Action Plan. It was a new question this year, and we really wasn't entirely sure how we were going to go with this one, but super pleased to see that our Reconciliation Action Plan is absolutely alive and well across the business and is absolutely being embedded in all of our areas. Our employees who are over 65 years of age are the most engaged at Wanslea, and our 18 to 34-year-olds are our least engaged. Our newest employees, so those with less than 12 months of service, are our most engaged, and our employees with 3 to 5 years of service are our least engaged employees. When we look at our areas of strength, we can see that there's a strong emphasis on our teams and our team members, and that means that our people are absolutely feeling valued and appreciated across Wanslea. Wanslea's values are demonstrated in my team. We have increased by 12%. We've gone from 72% into 84% here, absolutely sitting within the top decile there with that one. It's really great to see that our values are becoming so embedded across the organisation now, and we are seeing our values demonstrated on a regular basis across all of our teams. The person I report to cares about my job satisfaction. We've definitely increased there. Our people believe that they are paid fairly for their roles, and that is an increase of 4%. One that we really have been so pleased to see is that Wanslea recognises the achievements of its people. Last year we were sitting at 45%, and this year we are sitting at 66%. And we've done an amazing amount of work this year around our reward and recognition program, and it was great to see so many people jump on board with our values awards that we held a few months ago. Our people are motivated by their contribution to our purpose. So when we look at how your role contributes to Wanslea's overall purpose, we're sitting at 91% there, which is amazing, and have seen a 9% shift. In terms of our awareness of our purpose, values and aspirations, still sitting the same, no change. 89% is a really high score. And then understanding what outcomes and standards are expected, we've increased by 9% there and sitting at 86%. We've increased our focus on performance and improvement. Wanslea aiming for best practice in our industry is up by 12%, and we are now sitting in the top quartile there at 80, as well as our teams having a continuous improvement mindset. What a shift to go from the bottom quartile into the top quartile over 12 months around that continuous improvement mindset, up by 12%. To our free text questions, I go through all of the free text questions and I categorize them into the top themes or the top categories, and we can see that Our team and people, so the people that we get to work with every day, is absolutely the best thing about working at Wanslea. A resounding 31% there. And then that was closely followed by our flexible working practices, the families and the children that we get to serve, and leadership and management. Some really great themes coming out of the best things to work at Wanslea. So, of course, we have some opportunities for improvement. So our systems, processes and resources continue to show for us to improve. What's really pleasing to see here, though, is that last year we were in the bottom quartile for our systems and processes. We are absolutely on the right track here. We are heading into a trajectory of change. We have increased by 11%, and that is now sitting at 50% this year. So we were so pleased to see that the work and the progress that has gone into the last 12 months has been reflected here, and we're still heading on that journey of growth. I have the tools and resources to do my job effectively has increased by 2%, and appropriate support for technology issues, we're seeing that as really being no change. It's showing 1% under, but relatively there has been no change there. So positive to see that we are making some inroads here, and really looking forward to the next 12 months and how we can continue to improve in that area. And when we look at communication, it's the same thing. So Wanslea adapting well to necessary change. We've gone from 40% to 51%, so we've seen a 12% shift there. And Wanslea communicating to me in a timely manner about what is happening has increased by 9%. So we've gone from 56 to 65%. So similar thing, we've done an incredible amount of work around our communication piece and that adapting to change over the past 12 months. We can see that what we're doing is working because we're having such significant increases in engagement across these areas, and we'll certainly continue to see a shift and a change in the next 12 months in those focus areas for us. In terms of our free text, how can we make Wanslea an even better place to be? A little more close in terms of the scores here. So resourcing coming up as our top one there on the list at 11%, closely followed by communication, wellness, and our wellness piece included employees that may have mentioned feeling stress at work, technologies and systems, and collaboration. So what's next? What is going to be our way forward? So to summarise, our engagement has improved a lot, and nearly 3/4 of our people are engaged. And as Jo said earlier on, we heard from 80% of our people, so it's really quite an accurate score for us. The teams, I didn't show teams, but we did have 12 teams in the top decile for engagement. I didn't show roles today either, but our roles are at least in the mid-range of the benchmark or higher when it comes to engagement. Employees from non-English speaking backgrounds report higher engagement. More than 3/4 of our people have agreed that they've been involved in our reconciliation plan, and our demographics vary across different groups. We can see that our strengths are that we have a strong emphasis on teams. Our people feel valued and appreciated. Our employees are motivated by their contribution to our purpose, and we have seen an increased focus on performance and improvement. When we look at our improvement opportunities and the areas that we will be focusing on over the next 12 months, really sit in that systems, processes and resourcing area. And we will also continue to work on our adapting to change and communication as well. This year we'll be following a similar action planning process to last year. As I said earlier on, I will be sharing each individual team result with the managers. I'll be doing a deep dive with the managers. Your managers will then come back to you in your team and share those results with you, and you will have an opportunity to be a part of the action planning process for your team. When it comes to action planning, we really only want to focus on 2 or 3 opportunities for improvement where you can really deep dive and be a part of that change. So some of the things we focus on are initiatives. So where there's some initiatives or projects or goals that you can focus on within your team. They're things that can be simplified, so identifying and removing barriers or roadblocks to areas that you may have identified for areas of improvement. And then we look at the behavioural areas as well. So are there some things that perhaps need to change in the way that what you're currently doing, or perhaps are there some new habits that can be adopted here, or looking at different ways to apply good practices as part of your daily activities. In terms of our communication timeline and next steps, so here we are having our staff lunch and learn in January. The one-on-one manager briefings will kick off later this month and move into early January. We'll also be working on an overarching Wanslea action plan, and we'll share that action plan with all of our staff. February into January and February, your managers will be holding team briefings with you all, and you will have an opportunity to be a part of that action planning process. We'll have some updates as the year goes on, and then as we head into October 2025, we'll be closing out our actions for this survey, and we'll be getting ready to launch the process all over again. So that is a summary of the slides to share today. And I know it's tricky to ask questions. If there's any specific questions, happy for you to drop them in the chat. We've only got five minutes to go. Otherwise, if there's anything that you're curious about and you don't feel comfortable popping it into the chat, that's no problems at all. Please give me a call or send me an email. I'm happy to have some one-on-one discussions with you. Anastasia, I can see you've got your hand up.
Yes, hi there. It's actually Dawn speaking. There's a number of us just
Dawn.
using Anastasia's computer.
Sure.
We just wanted to ask some questions really about the reconciliation action plan, that component, because I think the feedback as it's presented there is sort of showing that, you know, I think it was 3/4 or something or 2/3 of staff have engaged in that. But our understanding from the question was, has your manager encouraged you to do it? But that's quite different to actually having taken action. And we were just sort of reflecting here as a few of us around, you know, that's such significant importance to what we do, that it's really important that, you know, we're really accurate and we hold ourselves really accountable in that space. So I'm just wondering, you know, is there any further data, or will there be any further collected data on actually action that's been taken, not just have we been encouraged? Because I think they're two different things.
Yeah, look, I think for us in terms of the engagement survey, it was important for us to know who had been encouraged to participate in our reconciliation action plan, just so that we got that level of awareness, but without doing a deep dive into the specifics of the reconciliation action plan. Jo, did you want to give a quick update on where we're at with the wrap now?
Sure do. Thank you. Thanks for your question, Dawn. Yes, the reconciliation action plan is so important, and our current Innovate wrap is, pardon the pun, wrapping up in terms of the timing of it is the actions within our current wrap come to a completion at the end of December 2024. And early next year, we will be working through the process of developing a new RAP. But of course, before we kick off the process of developing a new RAP, we need to assess where we're at and looking at the actions we've completed and how everybody has contributed to those and what our priorities are going forward. Because you're dead right, Dawn, you know, it's so, in terms of the nature of our work, it is so crucial, our reconciliation action plan and the way we work as an organisation. But in terms of the actual actions within our RAP, we'll be preparing a report on how well we've gone, you know, within our current reconciliation action plan, and then engaging you all in the next iteration of that in the first 6 months of next year.
Thanks, guys.
Are there any more questions before we finish up? Okay, well, thank you for joining us today. I hope that that's given you a bit of a snapshot and a high-level overview on how well we've performed this year. We are so very incredibly proud of these engagement survey results. I hope you'll have a wonderful Christmas and a very safe and happy new year. And we look forward to more Lunch and Learns as we dive into 2025. If you have any topics or anything that you would like to hear about for Lunch and Learns for next year, please drop me a line. It's always really helpful for us to make sure we're delivering Lunch and Learns for all of our people. So let me know if you've got any topics you'd like for us to discuss. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.